It would be very helpful if you first try to solve the problem yourself before watching this video.
Question 266. The graph of f prime is given above. Well, actually the figure is right over here. The question is how many relative extrema, minimum and maximum, right, will the graph of f have? Let's say we have this number line with a critical point a and b. Let's say here's a, here's b. If the sign of f prime changes from positive to negative, then we know that f has a relative maximum at x equal a, right? Because it increases up to this point and then it decreases, right? If the sign of f prime changes from negative to positive, right? Negative to positive, then we know that f has a relative minimum at x equal b because the function f decreases here and then increases. So far so good? So now let's look at this figure right here. Here, this graph is f prime, the graph of f prime, right? Here, if f prime is above the x-axis, this part right here, that means f prime is positive here, right? Does that make sense? Let's say when x is this value, f prime is a positive, whatever, positive 1, positive 0.5, positive 0.3, 0 here, and then the graph is below the x-axis, right? That means f prime is negative here, right? Like when x is 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 1 again, negative 0.5, right? Do you guys see that? So here is negative. Below the x-axis, negative. This point right here, f prime is 0, right? These 4 points, at these 4 points, f prime is 0. 0 here, and again, below the x-axis. So negative, right? Negative, negative, 0 here, now positive, positive, 0 here, negative here, right? So look at the sign of f prime. F prime changes from positive to negative, right? If the sign of f prime changes from positive to negative, we know that f has a relative maximum at this x value, right? So f has relative maximum at x equal 1, right? Here, negative, 0, negative, sign doesn't change, so we don't have anything here. Negative, 0, positive, the sign changes from negative to positive, right? So at this point, at x equal 5, we have relative minimum, right? If f prime changes negative to positive, f decreasing, increasing, which means we have a relative minimum at this point, right? So at 5, we have f, minimum of f. F has a relative minimum at x equal 5, right? Here, positive, 0, negative. F prime changes from positive to negative. At this point, we have again relative maximum, right? Relative maximum of f, right? So how many extrema, how many minimums and maximums? We have a 3. 1, 2, 3. So the answer must be 3. Okay?